This Valentine's Day, celebrate the one you love the most with Hallmark cards at Walgreens. Valentine's Day is the best time to send your favorite person a reminder of just how much they mean to you. A Hallmark card is a super simple and beautiful way to say how grateful you are for the love you two share. Don't forget, Valentine's Day is Saturday, February 14th. Visit Walgreens today to find a Hallmark card that shows just how much you love them. Because love lives here.
Welcome into another edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. It's Jacob Milham here. I'm back and already barely hanging on by a thread, but I am here with the good friend, Jeremy Hokius Greco. Jeremy, thanks for holding it down while I was gone, man.
Jacob, I got to tell you, I don't know how you do it, okay? Being the host and trying to keep things on the rails is a lot, and Max is not as much of a derailer as I am. But you keep this thing going. I hope everyone has a new appreciation for all the hard work you're doing to keep this thing going.
If you say so, man. I'm just trying to keep my voice going at this point. We'll talk more about that here in a little bit, but yeah, no, Jeremy, I missed you. I missed being here talking about Royals baseball. It's crazy that now I'm back recording and we have Royals baseball again this month. Like we have pitchers and catchers reporting. It's crazy to me, man.
Yes, this week they're reporting even.
Yes.
Some of them, as we're recording this, may have already reported. We've got spring training games in less than 2 weeks. We've got World Baseball Classic games in 3.5 weeks.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. I'm very, the Super Bowl was last night. I actually sat down and watched it. It was a good game. It was fine. It's the first time in a while we haven't seen the Chiefs in a Super Bowl, so I felt like that was a historic thing. I had to sit down and watch that game. And
who knows when that'll happen again?
I know, who knows? It was a good game, but at the end of it all, it's just like, okay, finally we can all turn our attention to baseball. And immediately after the game, Monday morning, we're seeing promos for opening day. We're seeing promos for baseball coming back to NBC and Peacock. It is, more eyes are turning to baseball right now. Now, is baseball maximizing those new eyes? I don't know. All I know is that my eyes and my attention are firmly on opening day and on the Kansas City Royals.
You brought up the Super Bowl, Jacob, and you thought we were going to get away without talking about Bad Bunny.
It was a great show, man.
I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I did turn on the halftime show to watch Bad Bunny. Now, to be super 100% clear, Bad Bunny music is not my kind of music. I'm not sure what my kind of music is, mostly video game soundtracks. If Bad Bunny collabs with Utada on the Kingdom Hearts 4 theme, I will suddenly be a much bigger Bad Bunny fan. But what I will tell you is that I also don't speak Spanish, but I will tell you the visuals of the whole thing. I will tell you that speaking to my friends from Latin America, of reading the reactions online of people from Latin America, especially Puerto Rico, but also, I didn't need to know Spanish at the end when he said, "God bless America," and then named every country in the Americas.
Yep.
And that was super cool. And I feel like that's also super relevant to baseball, because how many of these guys are from South America, from Venezuela, from Puerto Rico, which is not South America, territory of the United States, probably should be a state, but that's a whole different thing. Colombia, all these different countries are part of America, and they're all part of baseball. They're a huge part of baseball. We wouldn't have baseball as it exists without these. Salvador Perez, Jose Ramirez, Francisco Lindor, Julio Rodriguez, all these guys, these big stars of MLB, we wouldn't have without South America, without Latin America, without Central America, without Puerto Rico, which of course brings us such notables as MJ Melendez. Okay, well, they can't all be wins, but it also had Roberto Clemente. Okay, let's not hit on Puerto Rico too much. So yeah, Seth Lugo, Puerto Rico. I don't think he was born there, but he traces his lineage back to there. So he is. I've seen so many different reports about whether Seth Lugo is playing in the World Baseball Classic or not, and I checked their roster this morning. Their roster says he is on the roster. Seth Lugo is participating in the World Baseball Classic. So that's pretty exciting. Central America, South America, huge part of MLB. A lot of the stars from there. Baseball as we know it wouldn't exist without Central and South America.
Yeah, and I mean, we got Ronald Acuna Jr. out there in the halftime show. We got Jazz Chisholm out there in the halftime show. Like,
I missed him. Yeah,
they were there standing together. It's that part of the world means a lot to sport that we all love, and it's impossible to deny that. And we're gonna see a lot more of that here in like a month with the World Baseball Classic. Like we're gonna see a lot more, get reminded a lot more of how far and wide these MLB players can come from. Now, I feel bad for some of these World Baseball Classic teams that are like all amateur or indie players, compared to going up against guys like, United States of America, Japan, Venezuela, all these like really, really stacked teams. From all I can tell, this is one of the best United States teams ever.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing for sure.
So
I think it was Effectively Wild, which I told you I've been binging ever since I listened to the Vinny episode. Did you listen to the Vinny episode? Because we should talk about that at some point.
I haven't listened to all of the Vinny episodes, so please allow me to go back and digest that.
But they did some calculations based on the WAR of the players and found that this is the best team that the United States has probably put out there. It's certainly the best pitching staff that the United States has put out there in years.
Well, when you have studs like Michael Wacha coming out of the bullpen,
I mean, he's no Brady Singer, but
hey, speaking of Royals pitchers, we will, after all these delays and pushing things back, we will get to our ranking the Royals starting pitchers, not overall pitchers, just starting pitchers today. We do have a couple of other things to talk about on the Royals front. It's impossible to get past this, and a lot of good vibes with spring training coming up, and unfortunately, we got the news this past week that former Royals outfielder Terrance Gore had passed away at 34. That hit hard, and like it makes me feel some sort of way admitting that as a person who, like, I knew him as a fan. He wasn't my peer. I didn't have like a special relationship with Terrance Gore that nobody knew about. It's just like, as a fan, like, Terrance Gore was one of those guys that, like, I really liked. He was fun to watch. He had a great energy, and just to think that he's gone is hard to deal with. And I couldn't imagine being one of his former teammates thinking about, I thought I had more time with Terrance,
Yeah, he was someone who definitely had the joy of baseball in his heart. He couldn't hit, couldn't field, but he could run. And he was, if you can run, there's other places to run, but he chose baseball because he loved it. And in one of those kind of weird things, baseball loved him back. I feel like a lot of people who love baseball doesn't love them.
Yeah.
And then sometimes baseball loves guys who don't love baseball. But Terrance Gore loved baseball, and baseball loved him. He walked away with 3 World Series rings, which is just crazy because playoff teams wanted him.
Yeah.
And that's how I will remember Terrance Gore is as a guy who loved the sport, who, I believe, didn't he score from second on a ground ball error or something, like a sacrifice fly, something crazy like that with Gerard Dyson one game?
He did some crazy stuff with his speed, man. I think it was a extra innings game against the Chicago White Sox when he went like first to third on a throwing error, and then ended up scoring on a wild pitch. Like, he was one of those guys that you knew something was going to happen when he was on the base paths, because he made something happen every single time. So yeah, he's going to be a hard guy to miss, and I hope the Royals do a good job of remembering him once the season comes around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll, if I know this, fans processing feelings about players passing on, especially it doesn't matter what era. It doesn't matter what era the player's from. It's you still have an attachment to that team, to that era, and hence to that player. I know it can be a complicated thing to process. And so, you could drop a comment if you want to talk about it. I would love to. There's so many Terrance Gore moments that I'm sure there are so many that I'm forgetting. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So just drop a comment. I'd love to go back and revisit some games. If you could point one out to me from Terrance Gore, that'd be really really fun. A guy that we won't be remembering his time with the Royals fondly for very much is good old outfielder MJ Melendez, who I was not expecting to see MJ Melendez in the headlines in early February, but lo and behold, Jeremy, here we are talking about him getting a major league deal with an NL East contender, man. Like that's just
There
crazy.
there's some confusion about that because it's being reported as a major league deal worth 1.5 million with 500,000 in incentives, but I've also seen some reporting that it's a split deal,
Okay.
so he'd have to be on the big league roster to get that. It's very confusing. I'm not sure how it all works, but the fact that he didn't, even if it's a split deal, the fact that he got something other than just a straight up minor league deal is more than I thought he'd get. And like
Yep.
you said, from an NL East contender, the New York Mets, who love to spend their money on guys that I'm not really sure why they're spending their money on those guys. Credit Stephen Kolek. He wants to win. He's willing to spend his money. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not a Mets
No.
fan though, so I don't have to.
No, and like I was sitting here thinking about like how do I frame this? Because I wouldn't want MJ Melendez to get this deal with the Kansas City Royals, right? Like this feels like you could say, oh, this is MJ's second chance, but he got second, third, and fourth chances with the Kansas City Royals.
Mhm.
So the Royals spending any further money on him would just feel like a slap in the face to fans and not going in the direction you would like. Now, we have talked about it before that from a Mets perspective, there's certainly a way to spin this. I think I saw it from the New York Post where they say, oh, Mets signed former top Royals prospect Melendez to 1 year pact. She's like, oh, I don't know about that, New York Post, but okay.
I mean, the power. He's still got the power. He's
He
still
does.
got a history of plate discipline. He didn't really show that as much last year, but I mean, there's reasons to hope on the guy, and maybe a change of scenery is just what he needs.
Yeah.
I hope that works out for him. We'll see. I would rather he succeeded in New York than not at all. I'm always, I talked about this with Minda a few weeks ago that I want to be less, well, that guy doesn't deserve to play, and have more grace for these guys, more compassion for him.
I think that's a good way to phrase it because at the end of the day, his MLB journey is still continuing at least. And that's not something that everyone can say this offseason. For
Mhm.
every signing that you see, there are guys who are still slugging it out in drive line or tread or on the backfield somewhere at their local college, trying to keep relevant, trying to keep their name on a team's radar somewhere. Melendez, he's still out there. We'll see what he does in spring. I'm not going to bet the house on him making an impact with the New York Mets, though. But I'll be pleasantly surprised. All right, Jeremy. So this is you sent over the list of stuff to talk about. I wanna bump something up with the news that's been happening today because you asked the question, how upset will we be if the Royals don't make another impact move? And recency bias, I will say, holy smokes, MLB teams, they weren't waiting for the Super Bowl hangover to pass. They were ready to rock and roll on Monday
Yeah.
morning when it came to these, whether it be a free agent deal, whether it be a big trade deal. I mean, you can go up and down the line. Tampa Bay Rays signing Nick Martinez, the White Sox signing Eric Fetty. Gio Urshela is still getting a job somehow with the lowly Minnesota Twins. But the big deal of the morning was I think it was a six-player deal. Six-player deal.
Yes, a lot of guys.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts here. So, but what you got to know is the Boston Red Sox, they're acquiring Caleb Durbin from the from the Milwaukee Brewers, and also Andrew Monacerto.
Monasterio.
Thank you. And infielder Anthony Siegler, and a competitive balance round B pick. I mean, Brewers are still making out pretty good on the other end of this. They get infielder David Hamilton, plus they get a pair of left-handed pitching prospects in Kyle Harrison and Shane Drone. This is, this is one of those things. I don't think it shakes up the AL East entirely, right? But it certainly does a lot when it comes to the off-season shopping list that the Boston Red Sox entered February with. They have addressed the infield, and Durbin is a guy who I'd be fine with getting everyday at bats from. And like, while I don't know what the heck the Milwaukee Brewers are doing, I don't know
Yeah.
what the end game here is. I can say that this is an impactful trade, at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a bunch of different ways to look at this trade. First of all, it was reported that the Red Sox and Astros were really trying to get something done, where the Astros wanted to get rid of Paredes because they have too many infielders, but they wanted Wilyer Abreu from the Red Sox, and the Red Sox were like, well, maybe Jarren Duran, and the Astros are like, he's too expensive. So the Astros still have too many infielders. The Red Sox still have too many outfielders, and it's a whole goofy thing. And now the Brewers don't have a starting third baseman. But an aspect of this trade that I find really interesting is that this is the second trade this offseason where the Red Sox have sent away one of the pieces that they got back for Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
They traded Jordan Hicks for basically nothing to the White Sox, and now Kyle Harrison goes to the Brewers for Caleb Durbin. So if you look at it, it's kind of like the Red Sox traded Rafael Devers for Caleb Durbin and an outfield prospect, a well-regarded outfield prospect in James Tibbs III, and a right-handed pitcher in Jose Bayo, who I don't know anything about him. He's a low A guy. That makes me go, man, that trade looks even worse now. Because Kyle Harrison was supposed to be one of the big pieces, and Jordan Hicks was supposed to be like, well, maybe he could bounce back, and he didn't. So that the Red Sox are out here going, we can't trade Jarren Duran, we can't trade Wilyer Abreu, but meanwhile they traded Devers for peanuts, kind of.
Yeah, for a lot of salary relief for a problem that they created on their own. This is, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how this looks for the Milwaukee Brewers, because they aren't acting like the conventional team who is coming off a season where they just led the NL in wins.
I mean, this is the Rays model, isn't it?
It is, but
everyone calls the Brewers model now, but it was the Rays model a decade ago.
It feels like that, but to the nth degree right now, I'm saying, because, Isaac Collins wasn't a guy that they had to trade away. Caleb Durbin, this was his first year in the league. He was not a guy they needed to trade away. Freddie Peralta, I get it. You got 1 year left. If you're not planning on paying the guy, you might as well move on. I completely understand that move, even outside of the typical Brewers moves. But now they're like nearly a dozen deep in legitimate starting options in the big league rotation. They found this model of success where they can take these super versatile guys and literally just plug them in anywhere. Like, okay, well, maybe we'll have a first baseman who that's his primary spot. He'll just stick there. But I mean, you have guys like Sal Frelick comes to mind. He came up as a utility infielder, and he's made a name for the Brewers as an outfielder.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand what the end game here is, but I can say that the end results we have seen from the Milwaukee Brewers lately have been these moves pan out for them, and they work.
I'm going to be really interested to see if it works this year. I have been pretty vocally critical of the Freddie Peralta trade. Even like in a vacuum, it's a very good trade. They got a couple of really good prospects for a pitcher with 1 year left on his deal, but that makes the team worse for this season. Trading away Caleb Durbin for Kyle Harrison makes the team worse this season.
It does. You're right.
Trading away Isaac Collins for Angel Serpa, I'm not sure if that makes the team better or worse, honestly, depending on what they can get out of Serpa. If he's just who he was for Kansas City, I think that makes the team worse this year.
Yeah.
And this is something I've been sounding the alarm bells a little bit over, and everyone's like, what is with the alarm bells, Jeremy? Too many alarm bells. It's not that big a deal. The Royals say they want to be like the Brewers, and I look at what the Brewers are doing this year, and I'm going, I don't want my team to make it to the championship series and then get worse the next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Will they
fully
be
agree.
better in 27 because of these trades? Probably, I guess.
Yeah.
Mostly because of Peralta wouldn't be there in 27, and the two prospects they got from the Mets for him should be good. Oh man, I want my team to another aspect of this is I'm like, well, what if the Royals were going to do this? What if they traded Chris Bubich for those two prospects from the Mets? How would I feel? And I'd be like, well, that's a pretty good trade. But Chris Bubich was also the Royals' second or third best pitcher last year, not their best pitcher.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
but also the Brewers do have a lot of guys to the point that they had their top prospect, Mizrowski, was pitching out of the bullpen in the playoffs. So maybe I am sounding too many alarm bells, but I'm watching the Brewers with a lot of interest this year as a team that the Royals say they want to model themselves after. And if the Brewers take a step back, I'm going to be like, okay, they're not perfect. Are you perfect, Kansas City Royals, that you can thread this needle?
This is we'll see we'll see how the process and the results marry up in 2026. We still got a good ways until we get our first taste of that game number 1 of 162.
Yeah. And there's, it could turn out that Jet Williams, who has some questions about his height, and the pitcher they got, I forget which pitcher they got, there were some questions about his performance last year. Sproat, yeah. If those guys are not good next year, then there are going to be a lot of questions about what are you guys even doing?
Yeah, that there will be. So something that I am blanking on, if you guys talked about on Sunday, Royals.tv. Did y'all talk about it?
We did talk about Royals.tv. I think I sent a message in the chat that says Royals.tv, but what I meant was, I did say MLB TV.
You did.
We talked about Royals TV a little bit, which is relevant to the local Royals fans.
Yes.
So you can go back and listen to that episode. But I did want to bring up what is happening with MLB TV this year, which because of the deal MLB struck with ESPN to get their money back, you cannot just sign up for MLB.TV this year. They are doing this thing which seems like it should be illegal, even with the way the antitrust exemption is set up for MLB, but is apparently not, or at least I don't know that anyone's going to successfully challenge it in time for it to make any difference. In order to buy MLB.TV, you must also subscribe to ESPN Unlimited. Now, if you've never right, but the good news, I guess, is that you only have to subscribe to ESPN Unlimited for the first month. And if you've never had an ESPN Unlimited subscription before, you can get a first month free with a purchase of MLB TV. I have not sat down and done this yet. Once I sit down and set up my MLB.TV subscription and I've worked my way through how all of this is going to work, I will report back to you on what it looks like, what the steps were. But this is if you'll excuse the language, Jacob, the enshittification of the internet at its finest. A product that was really good in MLB.TV gets worse so that billionaires can make a few more bucks.
Yeah. And as we're delineating between Royals TV and MLB TV, this is something that, to my understanding, is only affecting the out-of-market streaming packages.
Correct. It should not affect Royals.tv.
Yes, correct.
But it'll affect both you and me.
It will.
And I'm sure there are plenty of other displaced Royals fans who this will also affect.
Absolutely. And this is, unfortunately, number one, Enshittification, really good book. And believe it or not, it is the title of a book about things like this. Very good book. Highly suggest you go check it out. It's frustrating because this was such an easily accessible product. It was very, very, very straightforward. And at the end of the day, how many thousands of people are going to sign up for this and forget to cancel it.
Which is
Or
the hope.
yeah,
That's what they're
exactly.
hoping. They're hoping you're going to forget and you're going to give them money that you don't wanna give them.
Correct. Which this is basically free money for the
Mhm.
corporation.
Mhm.
And some of these corporations take it a step further with these early termination costs and things like that. I only bring that up because I was reading something about a former Adobe executive, and he described those ETCs as like heroin for the
Mhm.
company because it's just free money at the end of the day. They don't have to do anything for it. You give it to them simply because you changed your mind or didn't like that how hard it was to cancel it. So I don't expect anything less from the big mouse, unfortunately, when they're trying to milk every dollar that they can out of this product. And it's I don't know. I just have to throw my hands up at it because like, oh, what are you gonna do about it? Unfortunately, nothing. Like I
Yeah, I
can't.
don't but what am I supposed to do? Not watch baseball? Like, that's gonna happen. I mean, I could pirate it, I guess, but
You
that's
could.
actually even more of a pain, and that's always been the key to getting rid of pirating, is to make you easier to pay for your product than it is to pirate it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's
And it's they're still on the correct side of that line.
yep. That they are. That they are. So it is a mess right now. Jeremy, I think that would actually be a great segment as the season approaches, is having us both sit down and try to like set this up. I think
Okay,
that'd be really fun.
sure.
So we'll probably revisit that. But as you can hear, my voice is starting to go a little bit. Jeremy, do we still have time to get to our starting pitchers? I have a very robust list here.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good list here. I'm ready to go.
All right.
I did wanna just real quick throw out there, that my article that should be coming up the same day this comes out, I was a little bit late this week on my writing. I'm ranking all the Royals position players against their position across MLB,
Okay.
and I did come up with a little bit of optimism as far as last week when the Tigers signed Framber Valdez, or Framber Valdez, I guess is how it's pronounced. I freaked out a little bit. I was like, "Oh no, now the division is not like before it was, yeah, you even if nothing changes, you got a real chance to win the division. And now it feels like you're going to have to change something if you want more than a I mean, there's still a chance. They're not, like, way out of it, but they're not tied in the predictions anymore, the projections. So but I looked at those position players, I'm like, "Actually, this is not as bad as I thought it was gonna be." So we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, let's talk about starting pitching rankings.
Well, I so it's been a while for me, so I'm also refreshing myself here, Jeremy. So we're going 15 deep at
Mhm.
starting pitching. Full disclosure, I do have this is such a lengthy list for the organization. I do have 5 additional at the end that I just want to name at least give some little bit of
Yeah, I've
recognition.
got 7 guys at the end. 8.
So
8 guys after
hey
my
guys, goodness
15.
gracious. Goodness. So I would like for you to start off with number 1, and then we'll go my number 1, my number 2, your number 2, et cetera, down the line. So Jeremy, who's your number 1, man?
I mean, this is gonna really shock you. It's Jonathan India. No, I'm kidding. It's Cole Reagan.
Ah, not Jonathan India again, God.
Yeah, it's Cole Reagan's. I mean, this is what we've talked about him a lot this offseason because of the Red Sox trying to get him. When he's healthy, he's an ace. He is one of the best, I would say, 5 pitchers in MLB, certainly one of the best 10. And yeah, he's super important. I mean, the funny thing is that without him most of the season, the Royals still played well. They played above 500 ball last year. So if they have him, they're a playoff contender, and he makes their path through the playoffs much more reasonable. So it's Cole Reagan's, baby.
Yeah.
It's always Cole Reagan's.
There is I remember back when Patrick Mahomes was first coming up, some radio host was having a conversation about, like, do we throw around the term elite too lightly? Like, elite is supposed to be this and that. And I do think that some folks throw around the term ace a little too lightly because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, a deck of cards only has 4 aces, okay? And I ain't calling Cole Reagan's the ace of spades in MLB,
He's the ace
but
of hearts.
he's the ace of diamonds, baby. I consider him a bona fide ace when he is healthy. That's the kicker when he's healthy. We'll see what he brings in 2026, a fully healthy offseason, ready to rock and roll. Let's see what lessons he learned from 2025. I want to remind folks we saw him deal, just absolutely deal to close out the season. So hope for that. Let's see what he's got down a surprise. But yeah, he's my number one. I do think that number 2 through about 6, I think we're gonna have some good, healthy conversation here. Because I surprised myself with this.
All right.
But I gotta put Michael Wacha at number 2.
Okay.
I gotta do it. If you go back and look at the past 2 seasons, Michael Wacha has been the most steady of the Royals starting pitching. He has been one of the most, just dependable contributors. And yeah, is his ultimate ceiling probably like a 3 in a fully healthy Royals rotation? Yeah, absolutely. But holy smokes, this guy's trajectory bouncing back from the lows that he saw to close out his time in St. Louis, coming to the Kansas City Royals after a long journeyman stint, he has really taken it to a next level. And I like he's a guy who I go into 2026 and behind a healthy Cole Reagans, I'm like, well, this is the guy that I trust right now off of his track record.
For sure. So he was my number 3.
Okay.
And basically everything you said about him is where I'm sitting. This is a term I brought up 2 years ago a lot. It's a term I've been bringing up a lot this offseason. I think it's important. He brings that high floor. He sets the floor of this is the minimum you can expect. And that doesn't mean he's bad or he's the worst, but it means, that he sets a position where everything is going to be at least this good. And that I like it. I like having that floor where it is. It's much better than when you walk into the season and you're like, I don't really know who the 5th starter is. Might be somebody who turns out really good, but it could be what's his face from a couple of years ago who tried, then they moved him to the bullpen and then he basically quit.
Ian Kennedy.
No, not Ian Kennedy. He actually tried in the bullpen. He was legit. Props to
Jordan
him.
Lyles. Jordan Lyles.
Lyles, that's the one. Jordan Lyles. So but yeah. When Jordan Lyles is your floor, and honestly, he wasn't the floor of the rotation he was in. You have a lot of questions. When Michael Wacha's the floor, you're like, all right, we can work with this. So yeah, I had him at number 3. So
there you go.
My number
Who's
2,
your number 2? Yeah.
Chris Bubich.
Of course, you old Mark.
Jacob, where do you think Chris Bubich ranks on FWAR for last year?
Second.
20 MLB.
Okay, I was thinking amongst Royals.
Oh no, in MLB, 25th.
Okay.
With 3.3 FWAR. He pitched fewer innings than anyone above him. The only one who was even close was Chris Sale, who pitched 125 innings for a 3.6 FWAR. Bubich pitched 116 innings for 3.3. Most everyone else was 150 or higher.
Yeah.
You could use that guy in your rotation.
Absolutely.
It was like, oh, well, he was hurt a lot, so I don't know how valuable he is. It don't matter. When he's in there, he's so good, you guys. Come on. Yeah. That's why I'm like, I don't want to trade him for just Taylor Ward. He's better than Taylor Ward. In half a season, he's better than a full season of Taylor Ward. Yes, would it be nice if he could pitch the whole season? Absolutely. But if he only pitches half the season, that half a season is going to be very good.
Yeah.
And so he is the second most important Royal pitcher to me, because either this is still a thing that can happen. He could bring back a really important lineup piece in a trade, or he could be the second best pitcher on the staff. And yeah, he could also be hurt and barely pitch at all. And the Royals fortunately have the depth to cover that, I think, but he can bring a lot to this team.
Yeah.
Just so much, whether it's via trade or whether it's via pitching.
Absolutely. And I did, to his credit, I give you a shit for having him second, but meanwhile I got him third on my list. He had an all-star campaign for a reason. And it was, it sucks that it ended prematurely after 20 starts, if I remember correctly. But we'll see what he does in 2026. Man, golly, he looked so good after I would say since coming back from Tommy John, right? He looked good, and he looked very good in the bullpen. I won't quite say great. He looked very good in the bullpen, to the point of where we were legitimately having the conversation, do you keep him in the bullpen? And here we are, that we might have missed out on an all-star campaign if the Royals would have done that. So we'll see what he does in 26. I'm at the point right now where I kind of hope that whatever value he brings the Royals in 26, it is with him pitching in a Royals uniform. I'm at that point right now. I kind of want to ride with this rotation. I know other teams are still trying to figure out their full picture and things like that. But I look at these Royal starters, I'm like, you know what? That's fine. Let's go out, do 2024 all over again. Let's have a top 6 rotation in baseball. Let's ride that to the postseason. That's where I'm at.
That's one of the things. I mean, that's the big thing, right? It's the same thing as Jarren Duran to me. Is when you've got a hitter as good as Jarren Duran, you don't have to trade him. You find somewhere for him to play. When you've got a pitcher as good as Chris Bubich, you don't have to trade him. You just let him pitch.
Yep. Exactly. So like I said, I had him number 3. So since we've done that, who do you have at number 4?
So my number 4 is Noah Cameron.
Hey, another lefty.
Yeah, I'm lefty heavy at the top of my rotation, and that's just because, man, if Noah Cameron can maintain what he did last year, if he could take a step forward, we're cooking with gas, baby.
Yeah.
But if he can maintain what he did last year, that's still really good because he's scheduled to be the 5th starter in the rotation right now.
Yep.
Jeez Louise.
That's really good.
3 ERA.
Best rookie pitcher in the American League.
And you could talk about the FIP and blah 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 blah. I think he's got some juice to him. I think he's got the whiffs. He doesn't have the strikeouts, but he has the whiffs, and he doesn't have the walks, and he doesn't have the home runs.
That's
so
true.
I think that everyone's like, well, he could regress, and I was on that boat at the end of the year. But the more I think about it, the more I think he could regress. He could also have another gear. He could stay the same. And if he stayed the same, that would also be fine. Let's be clear. If Noah Cameron never gets any better, he's still got a long major league career ahead of him.
Yeah. So because I'll spoiler alert on Cameron, I had him down number 5 in my list. I kind of went chalk on that. And yeah, you bring up some of the red flags that we've talked about previously with the FIP, with the projectable stats and things like that. I'm trying to nail down the thing that I want to see from him this offseason, and I think I'm going to be watching very closely how his fastball deployment changes, right? Because he had a cutter that I massively underrated. Pitcher List, an outlet that I write for and I highly respect, their internal model of PLV has the cutter as in the 91st percentile amongst all pitches. Yeah, much higher than I thought it was going to be. But you flip over to the 4-seamer, the pitch that he threw the most, and that's down at 27th percentile. That's a big difference. So he is very much he's a feel guy. He's going to be in the zone. Is he going to be a guy at the end of the day who abandons the 4-seamer more so and leans more into the cutter and possibly adds a sinker, things like that? The curveball, the changeup, even the slider, don't change it. Don't change it.
That's the thing, is every pitch except the fastball is really good.
Exactly. And can I look up? I don't know if I can look up his.
And he threw his 4-seamer 26.4% of the time.
Yeah.
Last year, the cutter did come in second at 21.5%.
Right.
So yeah, if he could just throw that 4-seamer less often and not lose effectiveness on his other 4 pitches, he'll be set. And that's where I wonder, could he have another gear? Because man, you've got a cutter. Do you have to throw a 4-seamer?
Well, see, here's the thing that, he was a rookie. He's still learning, taking season by season and learning from our mistakes in the other one. I think that maybe we can go into the offseason and down and say, hey, Noah, you threw this 4-seamer early on in counts more often than not. And I see such a high usage from a quote-unquote bad pitch like this. And I think, he's throwing it when he's behind. He's throwing it in like 2-1, 3-1 counts just to get something in the zone. No, he only threw it like 14% of the time when he was behind in counts. Like, he trusted other pitches more so. So if you did, then go to those other pitches. Arsenals are getting bigger. as they should. I'm not saying that he should go down to throwing it never, but you cut out, let's say, 15% of that and spread it out amongst other better pitches. I think that makes Noah Cameron a better pitcher. But yeah, I'm watching that closely this early this season.
I just for fun, I set a split for starting at August 1st
Okay.
for Noah Cameron just for fun. And would you believe he threw his cutter more often than his four-seamer
There we go.
from August 1st on? So I think he's already kind of identifying that, though he admittedly he did pitch worse from August on than he had pitched before that.
Dang
But
it.
I think that's part of the adjustment, and by the end of it, he was pitching well again. You know, once he let me pull up the split. Let's start in September. These are arbitrary endpoints, of course, but you know, as he was finishing out, he finished the year strong. And yeah, his four seamer dropped even further below his curveball.
There you go.
He's throwing his slider and his four seamer less, his changeup, his curveball, and his cutter more. And he did get better. You know, that curveball carries him in a lot of ways. He should throw that even more than he does. That should probably be his primary pitch.
Well, another guy, my number 4 on the list, that was his primary pitch. That was the thing that carried him in 2025.
Good transition.
Thank you. In the wily veteran known as Seth Lugo, the slow curve savant himself. You know, him and Waka came over in the same offseason, and while Lugo had higher highs in 2024, Lugo also had lower lows in 2025. A lot of things went wrong for the veteran, and you know, he's really looking to bounce back. I did get concerned when Andy Rogers was talking about, oh, he's going to be using the fastball some more to try and find that success a little bit more. We'll see what happens. He did throw that pitch a lot more, whether it be the sinker, the four-seamer, or the cutter. He threw a fastball more in 2024 when he was having a better season than in 2025. I think that the all-star is still in there. I don't think he's that far away from that version of himself, but I'm not going into 2026 really hitching my wagon to Seth Lugo, if that makes sense. You know, if he can go out there and be a very good number 3 guy, so be it. I will absolutely take.
Yeah, gosh. I have him number 5, I think, which is not surprising considering how the rest of this list is broken down. And my thing is that he's basically on a 1-year contract. So he's got a team option for 27, which is great. What it basically boils down to for me is if Seth Lugo looks like Seth Lugo from 24, we've got him in the rotation, everything's wonderful.
Yeah.
If he looks like Seth Lugo of last year, and especially of August from last year, he's on a 1-year deal. Sorry, bud, you got to move to the bullpen. We've got a couple guys who can fill in for you. So on my scale of importantness, he's not here. We're not locked into him in a way that means that if he doesn't have success, we have to keep pitching him.
I agree.
Whether the Royals will keep pitching him, that's a whole different thing. But that's where I'm at is, you know, he's important in that, boy, 2024 Lugo would really make this rotation look good. But also, if we have 2025 Seth Lugo, we have answers, we have options to deal with that. So that's why he came in a little bit lower for me.
I gotcha. He is, you know, we can start talking about World Baseball Classic impact at any time, but him pitching and ramping up earlier is going to be something that I'm keenly aware of. This spring is okay. This guy is heading into his age 36 season. I had to look just to double check. Age 36.
Last year of eligibility for the WBC, apparently
so, which is crazy to me.
Unless he retires, and then he can pitch however old he wants.
Gotcha. But yeah, well, I think he's still a very valuable part of the rotation, even if that might not show up in the game level. It certainly shows up in the culture and in the expectations that he brought with him. So it's hard to write him off.
I love those pitcher meetings they were having after the starts. They stopped showing them on TV. I don't know if they stopped happening. Hopefully they didn't stop happening. They just got tired of showing it on TV.
Hopefully.
But that was just such a cool thing for Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo to just impart their knowledge like that. And I guarantee that guys like Alec Marsh and Cole Reagans have benefited from that. Noah Cameron benefited from that, I'm certain. So I love having Seth Lugo around for another year. I hope that he pitches as well as we've seen him pitch. But yeah, Noah Cameron's more important to me because if Noah Cameron pitches poorly, then suddenly you can't trade him. He's not offering anything of value going into the future, and you've got him under contract. Like he could tank a lot of hopes for after 26 if he doesn't pitch
Yeah.
well. If Lugo doesn't pitch well in 26, sorry, we don't pick up your club option. Thank you for your service.
Yep. And then just keep it moving from there. All right. Moving on down our list here to, let me get to my number 6, I think is where we're at. I have one of the 2 new acquisitions in Ryan Bergert. This was, this is one of those times where I would say 6 and 7 were pretty close. I went with ceiling, and I think Ryan Bergert showed a lot after coming from the Padres. A very exciting prospect to have waiting in the wings down in AAA. I think that'll make for some good pitching duels there in Omaha that we're not used to. Where'd you have him at, Jeremy?
I also had him 6th, and for the same reason. He brings some ceiling. He looked a little bit like a right-handed Chris Bubich last year, which is a really convenient thing to have when you think you only have 1 year or less of Chris Bubich left. So yeah, he brings that ceiling. If he turns into Chris Bubich, holy cow, the Royals robbed the Padres. But yeah, I'll take it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have his trade partner down at number 7 then?
I sure did. I'm guessing that's where you had him also.
Yep, sure did.
And Kolek, he doesn't bring the ceiling, but he's Michael Wacha light in that he brings some floor to that 7th starter position, which is because remember last year's 7th starter was Rich Hill, 40-something-year-old Rich Hill, who gave it his all, but I'd rather have Stephen Kolek. I don't think I'm alone in that either. So I love having I'm bummed for Ryan Bergert and Stephen Kolek that they probably don't have rotation spots to start the year as things stand, but I'm excited that hey, when somebody gets hurt, they're ready to step in and Royals don't have to miss a beat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. The biggest drawback on Kolek, like why he's not number 7 for me, is he doesn't have like the swing and miss stuff right now.
Yeah.
He just lives in the zone. He just lives in that upper half of the zone so much and so consistently that it's like, man, like this is just the pitcher you are. Like this is just what you're gonna do. And he does bring value and he does bring floor as like a very dependable guy. The way his arsenal looks and how his results look, I don't understand why the Padres had him pitching out of the bullpen. Like Kolek just profiles so perfectly as a lower half of the rotation pitcher. He's not a guy who's going to go out there and punch out 14 in 7 innings, but he could probably give you a quality start more often than not. So I like him a lot. This is, if there are any struggles from the rotation, I wouldn't mind Kolek getting the call simply to calm things down. I think that could be a good role for him.
Yeah. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I want to say that even though he's not getting the whiffs, he does generate weak contact.
He does.
So, that the issue with weak contact is it just takes a slight place adjustment on the swing and suddenly it's hard contact. So you don't want to be like, oh, well, he always gets soft contact. It's fine. But guys have lived with that for entire careers. Chris Young, Jamie Moyer both come to mind of guys who didn't get strikeouts, but they induced weak contact. So I'm certainly not writing Stephen Kolek off, but yeah, it's if you sit there and you look at him and Bergert, you're like, well, I'm going to take the guy who does get the strikeouts.
Yeah. Yeah. Just for a single metric to point it out, Kolek last year had a 5.8% barrel rate allowed. The starting pitcher MLB average was 8.5%.
Yeah.
That's a big difference, and he just gets a ton of ground balls. He has over the past 2 years. That's been his bread and butter, man.
Yeah. Yep. He's and the Royals have 3 good infield defenders. So
Yep, that they do. All right. So now we're on to number 8, Jeremy. Who do you
This is
have
where
in
it's
that
gonna get
slot?
interesting again, right?
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if we line up closer than we might think.
I put Bailey Falter here just because
Okay.
I feel like he's the next guy up into the rotation. I'm not excited about it. I don't honestly think he's going to be a Royal by the time spring training ends. I said this repeatedly. I am mimicking David Lesky a little bit. David Lesky, though, has said he thinks he could be traded. I think he will be traded before the end of spring training. Some team will go, man, we need another starting pitcher in a hurry. Bailey Falter's not that expensive, either in terms of contract or in terms of trade value. Let's just grab him. He'll fill in until somebody does better. If he had options, then I think Bailey Falter could stick around. I just don't see a lot of room for him in the bullpen, or especially not in the rotation. I mean, we've both got him ranked at least 8th out of the starting pitchers. So
Yeah. Yeah, I got him at 10th. So
yeah,
I got him way further down my list. I'm trying to think of a role that we could carve out for Bailey Falter because he doesn't have the single inning stuff to
yeah.
have success there, right? I think that maybe if the Royals want to be super conservative with Chris Bubich coming into 2026, do you want to try a piggyback role? But even then, like, I don't know if a piggyback role with 2 lefties going back to back is the way to go.
And you've
You
got
know,
Daniel Lynch already, who does have
I
options that you can use in that spot.
you could miss me with Daniel Lynch.
Well, you could miss with Bailey Falter. Oh,
Yeah,
there.
true.
Lots
All
of
right,
missing
we go with
going
that.
on with these left-handed pitchers.
Well, that's what they do with the strike zone. So, anywho's,
Certainly not with the bats.
let's get things back on the right-handed side. We're at number 8. I got prospect Ben Kudrna, who joined the 40-man roster this offseason. Hey, Kudrna's a guy. He's got the draft pedigree and things like that. He did not look good in Omaha. He has struggled in Double-A. I don't think that he is going to be the impact rotational arm that so many folks were hoping for, myself included. I could see a bullpen move in his near and immediate future because he does have pitches. He has singular pitches. He just doesn't have results, unfortunately. But for now, he is a starter. He is going to get plenty of run in that AAA Omaha rotation. So I got Kudrna down at number 8.
Man, if he could just throw strikes.
Yeah, man. That's the
But he was
kicker.
walking and almost twice as many guys as he was striking out in AAA last year,
It was a lot.
which
It
was a
was
very
big.
small sample size. It was 11 in the third innings, but
Yeah.
it was 3 starts in those 11 and the third innings. That tells you he was getting pulled from games real quick. He just wasn't getting there. Maybe he was hurt.
Maybe.
I had him. He is. I think he's 10th on my list. Let me see if I can find him real quick. 10th on my list. So yeah, he's the closest starting pitching prospect the Royals probably have. I'm not
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah, I understand that. Who do you have at number 9 then?
I'm gonna get a little spicy on you.
Boy.
I got Kendry Chourio, baby. No, I'm ready. My body is ready, Jacob.
Oh my God, Jeremy.
Kendry
Kendry
Chourio.
Chourio.
I'm ready. He's got the stuff. He's got the strike throwing. He's already a top 100 prospect as a teenager in low A ball. I'm ready. I'm in. I'm all in. I put all my chips on Kendry Chourio. Let's go, baby.
I don't blame you. I got him down at 13th. I don't blame you being in on Kendry Chourio. Holy smokes. Hottest Royals prospect by a country mile.
One of the hottest prospects in MLB. Period.
Yeah, exactly. Very exciting guy to watch. I highly suggest you go check out the Baseball America write up on him. They have some good film from his time down in the Complex League as well. Very exciting guy. Could do a lot in 2026. Just remember, he is the guy who they said could end up being the top pitching prospect in baseball if he continues his trajectory.
Yeah.
We gotta wait and see.
No.
Just like they were saying with my guy down at number 9, Mason Black. All right. Super exciting pitching guy right there, right? Right, Jeremy?
I mean, I've seen less exciting guys. He did make my top 15. I have him at 12th.
Former top 100 pick in the 2021 draft. Made his debut back in 2024 with the San Francisco Giants. Has not done well hence making sense being in the majors. It has not gone to plan for him at all. At the end of the day, he is still like he still qualifies as a prospect according to MLB Pipeline, which is interesting. This is, he's a guy who is a perfectly fine guy to have waiting in AAA. I think
Mhm.
he's controllable, he's cheap. I still need to like dive in a little bit more on his minor league numbers and see what the arsenal looks like on a pitch by pitch basis, but I have heard from two different people. I'll give you a specific count, two different people, that him coming to Kansas City is probably the best thing that could have happened to him.
I believe it.
So let's see what he does. Pennsylvania native as well, so gotta give my love to Honey, her fellow Pennsylvanians. We'll see what he does in spring. I think he'll get a lot of work down in Surprise, but I got him down there lower on the list.
When I look up Mason Black on Fangraphs, I see a guy who's done some striking out in his career. He walks some guys, but not always a ton. His struggle at the big league level has been hard hit balls.
Yeah, that makes
lots
sense.
lots of home runs, lots of extra bases. He needs to learn how to miss the bats a little bit better. And coming to Kansas City, Fangraphs rates his slider as a 55 with a future of 60 on
Okay.
the 20 to 80 grading scale. And we know that I love the way the Royals handle sliders, baby.
Yes, that you do. That you do.
So I agree that he's a great guy to bring to Kansas City, and hopefully they can help him get even more out of that slider.
Yeah,
He may move
absolutely.
into the bullpen. I think he can have a lot of success there. I think that's probably ultimately what his success path will be with the Royals, is if they move him to the bullpen and really help him refine that slider and figure out what other pitch goes with it and go from there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's a very projectable thing to look forward to. Okay, so he is down at my number 9. I had Falter at 10. What number are we on for you, friend?
We're on my 10.
Okay, who's your 10?
I'm still spicy, baby.
Don't if you say
David Shields!
Shields, God damn it.
David Shields! Love him!
Man.
He's on the Kendry Chourio is on all the top 100 lists. David Shields is on the just missed the top 100 lists.
Yeah.
He just needs to add a tick or two on his fastball, and he will be on top 100 lists. That's it. That's all he has to do. Nothing else has to change. Add a tick or two to the fastball, and he's again still a teenager. He's got strength to add there. So yeah, I'm all in on David Shields. Also, let's go.
As you should be. That is a potent 1-2 combo to have coming up in the pitching pipeline for the Royals right now between Shields and Chourio, which I had Chourio at 13, I had Shields at 14.
And they could move fast. They could. That's why I have them up so high, is that they look like fast movers.
They do, which scares me. I don't know why, but I see David Shields and I get the Jonathan Bolin feeling in my gut. It scares me a little bit, but that's why we hope.
I think
because it's
Bolin's better
scary.
than most of us are giving him credit for, but yeah.
Well, it was. Do you remember where Jonathan Bolin was as a prospect at one time?
I remember he was racing through the system and then he hurt his arm. And I wonder if he hadn't hurt his arm, how things would be different.
Yeah. It's one of those things that scares me. I just don't want to see that happen to either one of these guys. I don't want to see it to happen to any pitching prospect.
I know Soren Petro also thinks that Jonathan Bolin should have been converted to relief sooner than he was. I don't think that's going to be an issue that we're going to worry about with these two guys.
Their pitchability is just
it's
very polished for their age. Yeah,
the command that they have is something you just I can't remember who I was. I think I must have been when I was talking to Max about it. The command that they show at such a young age is just. People think they can teach command. I'm not convinced that they can, and these guys are already showing it. So you let the physical ability develop, and the command sticks around, and you got a couple of guys who look really good in a couple of years.
Exactly. All right, so that was your number 9. Who do you have?
Number 10.
That was your number 10. I had Falter at 10. So we'll go on to my number 11.
Okay.
Which is a guy who most folks forget about, unfortunately, I still have hope in him. Alec Marsh, I
Gosh, he
remember.
didn't. I forgot to put him on my list entirely because
See,
he's not
that's
going to
what I'm
pitch this
saying.
year.
That's what I'm saying. We have, at the end of the day, we've only gotten 2 seasons of
Yeah.
Alec Marsh, which is tragic. But yeah, the shoulder issues for him in 2025 kept him off the field. He's not going to pitch in 26 either, unfortunately. It wasn't that long ago that Marsh was in the same spot that Cameron was, like where he was the hope of the Royals rotation. And now was Marsh great? No, he had his moments. Golly, he had some shining moments as a starter. But in the organizational standing of things, when he's healthy, I still think that he is a very serviceable starter, and I just want to see him back on the mound. That's all it is.
Marsh is Cameron without the results, but with more projectability,
Yeah,
I think. And I'm a huge Alec Marsh fan. He's not on my list in part because I forgot him, but even if I'd remembered him, he's not going to pitch for the Royals this year. And he will not have thrown a professional pitch in 2 years before we see him take a mound again.
at least.
So we don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. So I wouldn't have him on my list. I hope that he does come back and he still looks like Alec Marsh, but my hope is not followed with a lot of belief.
I got you, and I completely understand that. Hopefully, we see him as a reliever, not as a starter at that point.
Yeah.
Who'd you have at 11?
I had Ben Cooter at 11.
Okay, who's your number 12?
I had Mason Black at 12.
Okay, at number 12, I got another 40-man addition in Steven Zobak. Bill
Just missed my list.
Really? Man, that's
Yeah.
surprising. Yeah, I mean, he was a guy who really just injuries derailed him in 2025. He was the pitcher, the minor league pitcher of the year in the year prior. His ascent from being a bullpen guy with the Columbia Fireflies, setting records in that role, to being a starter was very fun to watch. A very athletic pitcher, if you will. Former 2A player in college, still getting a feel for pitching at this level. So I like what he brings. I think that if the Royals wanted to get him to the majors right now, they could as a reliever. I don't think that he's going to be competing for a rotational spot, and I think that he still has some things to prove at AAA in that role, but he has a good arsenal. I like it. I'm very confident in Steven Zobak heading into 2026.
Yeah, I have him literally as I singled him out as the first man off of my list.
Which makes
just
sense.
because that 7.68 ERA in Double A last year is too much for me.
That's fair.
He got hit way too hard. He was striking guys out. He was walking too many, but not that much too many. Also, that was a weird outlier because he's not been a walker in his career. So I'm not sure what happened there. Hopefully he bounces back this year.
I hope so as well. All right, so who's your Black was your 12, who's your 13?
Still spicy, Jacob. I'm still spicy. I got Shane Panzini.
Man, that is spicy.
So he's a 24-year-old. He pitched a little bit for AAA last year. I just like how young he is that he made it to AAA. He mostly pitched in AA last year to a 3.16 ERA, tons of strikeouts, not that many walks, not that many home runs. He did pitch some in relief and some as a starter. His Fangraphs has him mostly as a fastball curveball guy. So he may ultimately be a reliever, but he's also overall ranked 28th in the org. So it's not like he's a complete unknown, but he's not someone I've thought a lot about, but I really liked those AA numbers. And they came on the heels of very similar and very good high A numbers. Well, no, I'm sorry. He pitched a fair amount in high A as a reliever, and then he moved up to AA as a starter, and very similar numbers at both levels. So I love it. I love it when a guy repeats his numbers. You're not falling off. That means your stuff is for real, I hope.
Absolutely. I didn't have Panzini at all. He's on the organizational depth radar, but I didn't have him on my list here at all.
Fair enough.
So Zobak at 12 for me, Chourio at 13 for you, or for me, excuse me. Shields at 14 for me. I don't have anyone new until 15.
Okay,
do you have
I've
anyone
got a
before then?
14.
All right, let's hear 14.
Jacob, I was feeling very spicy when I made this
Good,
list.
I can tell.
Eating jalapenos, just chomp on 'em, buddy.
All
Michael Lombardi,
right.
the draft pick, the top pitching draft pick that the Royals made last year. Don't know
Yeah.
anything about him really. He's not made his professional debut yet, but he was getting all kinds of hype coming out of the draft. The Royals were very excited that they were able to select him where they were, and I'm buying in. I've decided to buy in on that. I didn't like. I've got a list, like I said, of 8 guys. Steven Zobak was one of them. That are guys that are currently in the organization that are basically guys that I wanted to rank in my top 15, but I just couldn't.
I got
The
you.
numbers just weren't there. They all of these guys, I think, have rankings on Fangraphs as like top org guys, but I just didn't buy it. So I went to Lombardi
Fair
at number
enough.
14.
No, I got him just off of my list as well. Big curveball, big fastball. He's just got to get the control down. I like the fastball movement more so than the velocity. A lot to like there from a collegiate arm. We'll just see what he does once he makes his professional debut. Who do you have at 15? Well, we got you.
And you're just like, just get this out of the way, Jeremy. I put Justin Lampkin there.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what the heck I was doing there. I think he was the guy that they just drafted last year too, right? Yeah.
Yeah. 70.
Yeah, he's got good college numbers, hasn't made his major league debut yet. He comes in 24th ranked on Fangraphs for the organization. I don't know. Like I said, I really just didn't like any of the other guys. I'm like, he's a top draft pick. I haven't seen anything to tell me he sucks yet.
Yeah, that's fine. And Lampkin is one of those higher floor guys than Seelig. He's a big lefty. He's got a couple of very solid pitches, very, very good control. We just got to see how his stuff. Lampkin.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see how. I just want to see how his stuff plays up against professional batters. That's
for
all
sure.
it is. Moving on to my number 15, I got a guy who was eligible in the Rule 5 draft, if I recall correctly. Felix Arande. He's a 22-year-old. He spent all of this past year in high A Quad Cities, but pitched to the tune of a 2.8 ERA across 128.2 innings, by far a career high, with a lowly 1.08 whip. Not a dominating presence on the mound. A guy that the Royals signed internationally out of Cuba back in 2021. He's fun to watch. He really is. He's got a little bit of a different delivery. And, I don't think that this is going to be a guy who's coming in and competing for an opening day starting spot, But I think that he has a big enough arsenal to be a back half of the rotation guy. Or, honestly, his fastball, his changeup, and his splitter, that combination alone, he could be a very, very good reliever in short order, I would say. But I got him down at number 15.
I had him as the second off my list.
Gotcha. So what's your list? What's your sub 15 list?
Let me just say real quick, his strikeouts are why I didn't have him there.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I looked at his age. I think I thought he was older than he is because I thought he was old for high A. He's not.
Yeah.
I probably should have put him on my list. Probably should have. Oh, well, oops.
Yeah, that's fine.
So the other guys that missed my list, Hero Wyatt is a guy that I keep following because I love his name. Hasn't really done anything yet. Blake Walters, Asa Lacy, Frank Mazzucato, Henry Williams, and Josh Hansel all are ranked in the organization by Fangraphs. None of them have any numbers that I feel like discussing.
Fair enough.
Asa Lacy and Frank Mazzucato are especially damning as first-round picks.
Yeah. Especially that 3-year run of first-round draft picks from the Royals has set this farm system back exponentially. So I had 5 guys in my just out of the top 15 list. Kyle DeGroat, we've had him on the podcast before. Really, really fun guy to talk to. It is, while we look at Shields and Chourio getting a very aggressive push from the organization, DeGroat, they really slow rolled him. He's still fairly new to pitching, an outlier in some ways when it comes to pre-draft experience. But I do like what we have seen from him, and it's a wide variance of outcomes for him.
He's a guy that I will be much more interested in once I see how he does this year. He didn't
Absolutely.
I didn't see enough of him last year to feel like I had any kind of read on who he is as a pitcher.
Yeah, I don't blame you one bit at all on that. Barty was another one who I had. I had another 2025 draftee in Cameron Millar. On my list here. I like some of the stuff there, but we gotta see what he brings to the table. Also, a guy who we have seen what he brings to the table in right-handed pitcher Drew Beam, 22-year-old, 2024 draftee out of Tennessee. Excuse me. He made his debut. Very uh, I it's hard to call a minor league guy this, but I would say by the numbers, workhorse starter at the high A Quad Cities level.
He should have been on my list too. I whiffed on that. That's my bad.
Well, it's one of those things, like, he doesn't have eye-popping strikeout numbers, right? Like, he doesn't have a lot of things that we've grown accustomed to
But
looking for in prospects.
But like Aronde, he's young for high A. That was his first taste of pro ball, and he was not overwhelmed at all. He limited the home runs really well. He's not walking guys. You
Yeah.
want to see more strikeouts. You want to see bigger stuff. But there's plenty of reason to hope on him, I think.
Only 30 walks and 26 starts. Like, that's a
Yeah.
pretty good ratio for in my eyes. Another guy who I will plant the flag right now on this, and I think this is the guy who has the chance to make an ascent like Noah Cameron, left-handed pitcher Hunter Owen, the former Vanderbilt product. He was at Northwest Arkansas last year, and he did okay. He didn't do great, but he did okay. 107 strikeouts to 40 walks over 94 and two-thirds innings. Ended up with a 3.8 ERA. He only has 2 professional seasons to his name. Injuries have really kind of hampered him a little bit. He's a big-bodied guy. 6'6", 261 listed. I think that we see him make his debut next year, but I think that he's a guy who can bounce back in short order and really, like, start drawing some eyes in 2026. Yeah, and Cameron Millar was the last one. But yeah,
And he's
that's
got
my
the strikeouts. He just get those walks down a little bit more,
yeah,
and
just a
he'll
little
be.
bit. Yeah, absolutely. So how do we
He
feel about
came
this?
over. Why does he have a Pirates cap here? Did he come? He got drafted by the Royals. He did get drafted by the Royals. What the heck is going on?
It's I don't know what it is. I think there is a Pirates player by the name of Hunter Owen. I'm not 100% sure.
The cross ups. That's
You
why you
might
got to use
also
player IDs, not names when you're
exactly.
setting up your website.
Yeah, lo and behold, there is a Pirates player by the name of Hunter Owen.
The same headshot. I bet it is. He doesn't have a headshot. They screwed something up somewhere.
Hey, like you said, their IDs, not names.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about this from a because it's not that long ago that we were talking about Jordan Lyles as the de facto opening day starter simply because he's here.
The gut punch. Oh, why did
Yeah.
you sucker punched me, Jacob?
Because it feels like we've come a long way since then, honestly. It really does.
When I look at this list, what I see is the opposite of a bell curve. Starts off really high, then it goes kind of low, and then it gets really high again. They've got
Yeah.
a bunch of guys in the low minors that look fantastic, and I love who's in the MLB level. AAA and AA are a little sketchy to me. And
Yeah.
again, it's the Blake Walters, the Austin Lacey's, the Hero Wyatts, those guys that should be advancing through the system, but aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I feel pretty good about this system's progress. I will say Chourio and Shields got a lot riding on them. Like, they're
Yeah.
carrying a lot of this water. So if either one of them stumbles, that's a lot
Can
of water
someone
on
else
the deck.
carry the water? I need them to keep their shoulders healthy.
Yes. True. Can we get a catcher in here, please? Please. Catcher immediately.
I would say Asa Lacey, but I am not sure he
Oof.
has a shoulder anymore.
I'm not 100% sure about that one either. I haven't seen him have shoulders in quite some time. So, but that is the starting pitching picture for the Kansas City Royals. So if there's someone we missed, if there's someone you're higher on, make sure you drop us a line and we can talk about it on the next episode a little bit. Jeremy, anything else on a Royals front before we get on out of here?
I can't think of anything. They released their promotional schedules. If y'all are
Yeah.
local, you should check that out. Figure out which games you want to go see.
That is true. One thing that I know y'all should definitely check out for sure is Jeremy is doing a lot of hard work behind the scenes, folks. He's got a grade A guest lined up for us coming up later on this week. Jeremy, do you want to break the news?
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's not 100% yet. We're still working through scheduling, but we should have Annie Rogers, MLB beat writer, one of the best in the biz. She's tentatively agreed to join us on our next episode.
We have her
So,
penciled in.
yeah,
Not penned in.
hopefully, if we don't get her, then hopefully we'll get her sometime during spring training. We'll just have to figure out something else.
Hopefully so.
But she seems agreeable to it. It's just scheduling. So I'm very excited. Interviewing Annie is one of my favorite things every year.
Hopefully I'll have my voice back by then.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it would. I know everyone misses this nice low baritone from Jacob Milham. But yeah, hey man, it's just genuinely good to be back.
I'm so happy to have you back. No shade to Max. I love Max, but you bring light into my life as my podcast co-host in a way that, huh? Yeah, I don't even know how long we've been doing this. It feels like forever. I hope we get to do it together forever. I was pleased to discover that I could kind of run the podcast without you if I had to. That's been something I was kind of afraid of. The peek behind the curtain a little bit. When you took over this podcast, Max had talked to me about, do you want to take over the podcast? And I was like, I don't know, man. That sounds like a lot. And so he went to you and you graciously stepped in. And you've done a lot of hard work, but you've also taught me some stuff as we've gone along.
Well, good.
So I feel like I ran the podcast for a week. I could do it for longer if I had to, but I'd rather you did it.
I think you would need some more Pop-Tarts for that.
You definitely bring a level of skill and experience to it that I don't necessarily have. Certainly a level of focus that I don't necessarily have. So I'm so glad you're here. I worked with a longtime Royals podcast listeners will know I've worked with a bunch of different co-hosts over the years trying to find my niche, and you and I think this is my dream team right here. This is what I love. When I would not go anywhere without you if I didn't have a choice. If I had a choice, I should say.
I couldn't agree more, friend. I really couldn't. And hopefully I am genuinely hopeful that this is the last time for the foreseeable future where you won't have me in the chair. This was more peek behind the curtain instead of reviews, I would say today, Jeremy.
All right. That's fine. I know I'm not sure what my review was going to be.
There you go. So I was gone on the ship that I'm currently on, took it on this thing called Builder's Trials. You basically take everything out and you make sure it works for the first time.
Make sure it floats.
Yeah, well, it floats. It floats just fine. We don't know how much farther along than that it could get. So there's a lot of learning and things like that, but came back from about a week of that. I think I was only expected to miss like one episode.
Yeah.
I shit you not, day after we left, I started feeling sick, and they just could not nail down what I was sick with. Guy who sleeps below me had pneumonia. Couple of folks who I work with, they said they had strep. Now, since we've gotten back, 3 people in my workspace have popped for COVID. I went to the ER. They said I had the flu. But basically just working through dealing with the flu unmedicated for like a week. And I just haven't had a voice. Thankfully, I got meds now. Thankfully, I'm back home, a little bit more of a normal drum beat, and not sleeping in a berthing with 20 other guys. I actually have my own space, so I could literally breathe figuratively as well. But yeah, happy to be back, and hopefully, y'all are excited for Royals baseball as much as we are. It's right here.
I was I can't remember who I was telling. I was commenting on Craig Brown's newsletter this morning that I'm genuinely excited for the World Baseball Classic for the first time, I think, ever. I don't know if it's just been in my consciousness more this year than usual, but I think it's also that, the Royals are actually good right now. So baseball in general is more exciting to me. And I'm like, Well, the WBC is what I got until the regular season starts. So I will check that out. Just a spoiler alert. I'm probably going to be pulling for Team Italy. They got Jack and Vinny but also my heritage is Italian.
That's true.
And at some point between now and when the WBC starts, I'll be writing up an article about why you should root for the various teams, and that'll be a lot of fun. So
that will be fun.
I'm super excited, man. Everything's better now that you're back, and that means being excited about the WBC.
Hell yeah. Well, we are almost there, folks. Make sure you follow along the podcast however that looks, social media, wherever you listen to us for the actual episode, you could do that. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I don't know how you could put your vocal cords on ice, but I'm gonna go figure out some way to do that.
Don't do that. That's bad. Put tea on them. If you put them on ice, you're gonna do bad things to them.
Okay.
As a person whose voice was his living for a while, no ice. Avoid ice. Hot.
Okay. All right. I will do that. Medical advice, everyone. Medical advice right there from Jeremy.
The vocal cords need heat always.
Gotcha. Keep them loose and limber, and my low voice will be back in no time. All right, folks. Well, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. Make sure you tune in later on this week for another episode of the Royals Rundown Podcast. I'm Jacob Milham. They're Jeremy Greco. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, go Royals!
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.